Heather here, and today we're going to be talking about fictives, my personal thoughts and opinions on them, and what exactly they are, and how I feel like they are for me. I can't speak for other systems, but I did do some research and found out that fictives didn't even become a real, DID thing until 2021. So, that should probably tell you a lot. Before we go into that, let's just look at the definition of fictives. I'm not going to pull it up on the screen, I'm just going to read it. Fictives are alters that are or are based off of fictional people or characters. Fictives, while they already come from a media, can also have in real lives of different characters from different sources, but they don't have to. And then, whenever the first question that pops up, do fictive alters exist? Some people with DID refer to alters based on fictional characters as fictives, although this term was not used in literature on DID until 2021. So, just FYI, was not used until 2021. So that already tells you kind of what my stance is on fictives. So now that you kind of know what fictives are, let's just talk a little bit about some of my favorite characters that could be considered fictives the way I look at it. Alright, you got Baymax! Man, I love Baymax. There was that really touching scene in Big Hero 6 where he ended up helping Tadashi finally, or Hiro finally, come to terms with his feelings about Tadashi dying. Another one, Sans. Of course I like Sans. We all know this. He's one of my favorites. I like him in Neutral, and I like him in True Pacifist and Genocide, but I tend to do Genocide because you get more attention from him that way. And in Genocide mode, he talks about how he feels like you can be a good person. And the fact that him and Papyrus believed in me after I killed everybody in the underground, when I was playing through that, touched my heart. So, yeah. And then, of course, you got Stitch. Lovely little Stitch. Just someone that, has been through a lot and is still learning about the world around him and what's good and what's bad, and becoming a better person, and still feeling like he might be a bad person but trying to become a better person. That's kind of like how I am right now. And then I also brought out my little Lucifer sheep from Obey Me. Lucifer is, one of my favorite characters in Obey Me. He's very smart. He picks up on things very easily. And there were a couple times with Lucifer in Obey Me where he would say some things and I would be like, oh boy, I've been busted. And then, of course, you've got Lucian from Mr. Love Queen's Choice, which you all know about that, I'm sure. If you don't, he basically is the same as Lucifer. He's super smart. He figures out things going on. And he somehow knows every time something bad happens to the main character in the game. Just somehow, just randomly. And last but not least, you got Jonathan Turner. He's another one of my characters that I really, I have two more. Jonathan Turner, who I really looked up to as a kid because he was a lot like a mentor to Sean, and the fact that he still believed that Sean was gonna be okay, even though Sean was on that road, kind of like I was on that road before I became the person I was, of going one of two ways. And he was gonna help Sean be okay, and he did. And it was amazing. And then one of my last favorite characters is Andrew from Touched by an Angel. Because he is very blunt and he doesn't let you not listen to him. So, like, like with Monica, she's very passive sometimes. If you ever watched Touched by an Angel, I know it's an old show. But with Andrew, he's very blunt, and he will tell you flat out, you're gonna listen to this message whether you want to hear it or not, because you need to hear this message. I think it will help you. So those are what I would consider fictives in my system. All right, so let's go into the whole debate on fictives here. So, what I dislike about fictives is number one, I had never heard of fictives until TikTok and YouTube started blowing up. And as I read on that one thing, 2021 is when people started actually recognizing fictives as actual alters. Fictives are fictional characters that the person was drawn to, and then apparently some of their alters can change into that fictive. I don't know how much of that I believe. I personally have never had something like that happen to me. Um, Most of the time, the things that I consider fictives will come to me in dreams and tell me things in dreams that I need to hear. And we'll go into some of those dreams later. But a lot of times, what I see on TikTok is I see, how you see all these people whenever they have their new personality coming out instead of the way it's really going to look in the real world, unless you just have a closet full of like a trunk full of clothes that you're willing to change into every time a new altar comes out. Is literally just this. This is what it's going to look like, okay? So, like, and it's an example. I say pretending as an example. So let's say I decide that my fictive is Frisk, okay? I've got a great cosplay for Frisk. I could totally do a fictive of Frisk, I could totally make that a cosplay and a TikTok about Frisk being an alter. Um, but that's the thing. Most of these people on TikTok that you see that have fictives usually have this just cosplay outfit of their fictive. And so you'll see someone dressed as Frisk say, "This is my fictive Frisk." You'll see the little font, "This is my fictive Frisk," or the annoying voiceover, "This is my fictive Frisk. She's 10 years old. She loves to get to spare people and show mercy. She loves everyone," and they dress up into like a cosplay and claim that it's a fictive of their dissociative identity disorder. Now, I'm not saying that's not something that can happen, because like I said, there has been proof before 2021 that people might have had alters that turned into fictives because the alter wanted to be more like the person's favorite person. But most recently, the most recent time it's actually been something that people talk about and stuff, has been in 2021, and that's the most recent. So my thoughts on fictives are, I think there are fictives. I do. I just don't think they come out as separate alters. Now, this is, of course, through my experience with dissociative identity disorder. I've never had an alter that was based on a fictive or based on someone in real life. Usually, most of the alters I have, they house a lot of my feelings, and they house ages when certain traumas happened. And so, like, Angel houses the anger. Carissa houses the sad and the scared. Little Johnny and Jade house the scared and the sad. Eve houses the sad. I never really get to feel my feelings. That's what it's like for me. I never really get to feel my feelings. The only time my true feelings come out is if an alter comes out and I'm co-fronting. And it's really hard for me to stay co-fronting and feeling the strong feeling some of these alters have. And so that's why I go back in. So, like, when something major happens, I don't really cry. When something exciting happens, I'm excited, but it's not obvious until, like, Susan comes out and whatnot. Um, it's those, like, I personally do not get to feel my feelings. The rare times I do feel my feelings, I feel them so strongly that I have to, like, back out and be like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is too strong. If I feel this too strongly, someone else is coming out. But that's the thing. So, fictives, I do believe are real. I have dreams about Sporticus coming and talking to me about things I need to hear. I've had a dream about Sans once, okay? Sans. I had a dream about him once. This is all the dream was. I was sitting down and I was crying for some reason. And I somehow Sans just showed up beside me. Well, I mean, he's got teleportation powers, so I guess it kind of makes sense if you think about it. And when he showed up, I looked at him and I said, Sans, do you think I'm a bad person? He said, I. And then my alarm woke me up. I never got to hear if he thought I was a bad person or not. And to me, that's the kind of fictives I deal with. Okay, there are people that come in my dreams. Jonathan Turner comes into my dreams a lot. A lot. And when he does, it's very interesting because usually I am running away from him because I don't want him to see how broken I am inside. And he usually comes after me and he talks to me and, tells me things I need to hear or want to hear. And it's so important to me in those times. And it helps out a lot for me. Like, it helps out a lot. I've had dreams where Lucifer from Obey Me comes and, talks to me and, he tells me, hey, you're doing really good. I'm really proud of you. Super excited that you're making it okay, doing what you want to do, living life to your fullest, and he comes to me in the form of the Lucifer and Obey Me, as the sheep. This sheep actually is the main character in Obey Me, and the blue ribbon stands for Lucifer. No, or I've had dreams with Elle, another comfort character, where Elle comes out and I talk to him, and he is really super, super smart. And because he's so super smart, he pegs me on some things that I never really thought of before. So a lot of times what I think for at least my fictives is they come to me in dreams to help me learn more about myself, to learn better ways of coping and to let me cope with things. Because, like, I hardly ever cry. I don't cry often because I can't. I just can't get to that point. But in dreams, I'm crying, I'm laughing, I'm all the time in dreams, but not in real life. And a lot of times the crying and the laughing and all that stuff comes from specifically when one of these characters that I find comfort in visits me in a dream and tells me something that I've always wanted to hear but never got to hear. I'm not a crier. I don't show my emotions very often, and it can make me look like a blank slate sometimes when I don't show my emotions, but that's because all of my emotions are locked inside the different altars. So if I get really angry, or if I start feeling angry, Angel comes out immediately to stop it. Because if she doesn't, she's the one that deals with the anger. I remember back in my teenage years, I used to get so angry and enraged that I was shaking and out of control and like didn't even know what I was just shaking all over, out of control, yelling just profanities, not even knowing what was going on, just kind of blacked out a bit. I found out later that was probably Angel coming out, except she's done a lot better now at controlling her feelings without getting to the point that her body is shaking when she gets enraged. Except when the baby blanket incident happened, which was in one of the videos before this. But again, like I said before, she would never hurt a fly. But she does come across as very aggressive when she comes out. And so I can see why people might think she might hurt them, but she would never do that. She's been hurt too much. She doesn't want to hurt other people. She does sometimes come across as verbally abusive, and we've had to work on that as a system together, where she's not so verbally abusive to everybody in the system. But most of the time now, she only comes out when she feels like I'm not standing up for myself and need someone to stand up for me. Or when she feels like the system is being threatened or something's going to happen that's going to tear the system apart. So she's a protector. But that's kind of my thoughts on fictives and why I don't really feel like fictives are really separate alters, more like comfort characters that come to you in dreams, or comfort characters where you can just like imagine in your head. Like right now, let's say I wanted to have a conversation with Sans in my head about just how bad I felt about something that happened yesterday, which this is just an example. There wasn't really anything bad that happened yesterday that I really would want to talk to him about, but one of the first questions I would always ask, because these are the things I don't these are the things I don't hear enough. And I know it weirds my friends out because I get really sappy when they make it very obvious. There's times when my friends tell me they believe in me. There's times when my friends tell me that they know that I'm going to make all my goals that I want to make. I don't hear that enough. And then I get really sappy, and then I get embarrassed because I get so sappy. And so, like, I'll message them and be like, oh, I really appreciate how much you believe in me. That really means a lot. And then, like, 2 hours later, I'm like, can I unsend this message? And they've already read it. And I'm like, oh, no. Because it's so embarrassing to me. Because it just, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird how I react to people being nice to me. I don't understand why people are nice to me. I don't understand how I'm a good person. I don't understand any of that. And so having these comfort characters like Sans and Andrew and Elle and Stitch and Lucifer and Baymax and Sporticus talking to me in my dreams or figuring out what they might say to me when I'm awake is very, very nice, because that's like the only time I ever really hear the stuff I need to hear. And what's really interesting about it, which I never really think about it because they just seem like so different. Like, they're not different alters, I don't think, but they seem so different that I don't really think about it. But they're parts of me. Like, it is literally me talking to myself, telling myself what I want to hear. Even if it is me just dreaming about Sans telling me, hey, no, you're not a bad person, or hey, look, we're buddies, you're fine. And that's the thing with me. Like, it's still me. But I don't realize it until I started this little vlog. I didn't even realize it, because literally that's what happens. I use these comfort characters. I used to watch Touched by an Angel. I use Lazy Town. I play Undertale way too much. And I use all the characters in these things that I watch. And I usually pretend like I'm the character they are talking to or helping. Um, and that's something I've been doing ever since I was little. You know, Pete's Dragon has been a big thing in my life. Pete's Dragon, the original. The one with, the crazy songs like, we're gonna, we got a bill of sale right here, or we're gonna chop him up, it's got crazy songs, and it's so corny, but it focuses on things like abuse and, stigmatism and stuff like that was way ahead of its time in a way that a kid can digest it and not even realize how dark some of the songs are. Like like in these hills, we're gonna swing him from a tree. Very violent. The Gogans were very violent towards Pete. And there's actually a part in the movie that's not in the soundtrack where the dad Gogan is like, after the mom sings, "We miss you, the dad Gogan holds up his cane. It's like, if I get near him, you can bet I won't miss him with this. And I've always found comfort in that kind of stuff. That's kind of, I guess, my fictives in a way. I never really actually turn into my fictives as alters. And like I said, 2021 is when that started becoming a major thing. And that was like right at the height of, dissociative identity disorder is so popular again on TikTok and YouTube and all that stuff. It was kind of like when Sybil came out, when the book Sybil came out, and then the movie came out to follow it. There were so many people after those books came out saying they had this multiple personality disorder, and then you find out later that none of them really did. There were only very few. Like, there's more than what they think who have dissociative identity disorder. Like, I think it says there's like a 1% of people have it, but there's way more than that. That's just an estimate. And but there's also not a lot percentage of it either. So like you see like 80% of TikTok dissociative identity disorder stuff. There's no way every single one of those people have dissociative identity disorder. There's no way. Now, I don't want to, discount other systems, but it is a rarer disorder. And what I see on TikTok and YouTube is basically I'm putting on makeup and changing my hairstyle and all this stuff when one alter comes out. And then I'm doing it again when another alter comes out. And like I talked about, that drains me when an alter comes out. Like, it drains me. So, yeah, I guess to an extent my whole life I've kind of had fictives, but they've never really been alter fictives. They've just been me sitting in front of a TV pretending that Andrew, the angel from Touched by an Angel, is talking to me and telling me it's all going to be okay. Or Jonathan Turner is talking to me as Sean, telling me that he thinks I'm going to be all right. It's these insecurities I have that I don't like to talk about and I don't like people to know. Because I am a very insecure person. And so sometimes what I need to do is veg out on Lazy Town. One of my favorite episodes of Lazy Town. I actually have 3 favorite episodes. 3. 3 favorite episodes of Lazy Town. The first one is Hero for a Day, and that's the one where Robbie Rotten hasn't been able to sleep for 3 days straight, and then he gets stuck in a tree, and Sporticus finds out that someone needs help, and he asks what's up, and he sees that Robbie's stuck in a tree because Robbie was trying to chainsaw the tree branch down to destroy the tree house, and Robbie just quietly says, "Help me." And then Sporticus is like, jump. And Robbie's like, no, go away. And then Sporticus is like, you just asked me to help you. And then Robbie's like, why are you listening to me? As he falls. And that's kind of the story of my life. That's kind of me in a nutshell. I relate to Robbie Rotten so much, you know. The second one I relate to is when Lazy Town. I know I'm nerding out on Lazy Town, but like we're talking about fictives, and fictives are part of shows you watch and things you do, and that's why I'm nerding out on different episodes of things. You've got the episode of Lazy Town where no, I've got four favorites actually. So you got the episode of Lazy Town where Robbie finds out that the active meter or something is all the way down, and that if not everybody moves by the end of the day, that Lazy Town will be called the laziest town on earth. And he gets really excited and he starts jumping up and down, and the activity meter goes up like 20. And the mayor's like, thanks, Robbie, you're awesome. And then he's like, okay, I just gotta stand still. I gotta stand still. And then near the end, they're like, we're not gonna make it. We've only got like 3 seconds left. And Sporticus somehow runs out of energy in that last 3 seconds. And then Robbie notices that Sporticus has ran out of energy. And then he starts dancing around. It's like, oh boy, yay, we're the laziest town on earth now. And as soon as he does that, the meter goes to 100. And then Sporticus, who was just out of energy before, so you know he did it on purpose, does like a huge flip over the wall and says, yes, good Robbie. Robbie's like, I did that? The other one I really like is, I can't remember the name of it, but they go to the beach for the day. And Robbie doesn't realize that everybody in Lazy Town went to the beach for the day. And it's kind of like he pulls a Home Alone. He's like, I wish they'd all just be gone. And so he says that, and then they're all gone to the beach, and he doesn't know that. And then he comes out, and there's no one in town, and he starts actually missing them. And he makes like pumpkin characters of them and talks to them and acts like he's the mayor of the town, but then he gets bored and tired, and he ends up falling in a hole that he dug himself, and Sporticus ends up saving him, and he's like, next time, could you guys please leave a note if you're not going to be in town? You shouldn't leave me alone like this. And see, I also like to be notified. If there's going to be any change, I like to be notified immediately. So, like, if you're one of my friends and you're not going to see me for a couple days and I don't know that, tell me, please. Because, you know, I like to know that. And then the last one is, of course, the Christmas special they did. The first Christmas special was pretty good. But the second Christmas special was even better because they ended up, Robbie didn't get a present from Santa Claus, but he was trying so hard to help the last day of Christmas Eve. And he was doing everything he could to help, and then he slept through the Christmas holiday, but Sporticus went to find him. And then all of the Lazy Town characters came up and were singing a song to him. And that was probably, in the look on his face, it was one of the best Christmas presents he ever could have gotten. And a lot of times that's how I feel. I feel pretty lonely in my own world. And, you know, when someone genuinely just comes by and like, Robbie was excited when he heard Sporticus calling his name in this episode. He's like, I'm coming. He said Sportiflop, you know, and he's like, I'm coming. And he climbs up, and then he actually looks at him and he says, Sporticus. Like, it meant the world to him. And then all the kids and all the people from Lazy Town came up and were singing a song. And he couldn't even talk. He couldn't even say thank you. He was so touched. So, yeah, I've gone on a little bit longer than I probably should have because I nerded out about some of my fictives, and talked a little bit about how fictives work for me personally in my system. They're not separate alters, but they do tend to come across differently um, than myself talking to myself, you know. But even then, when you look at it, it's really me talking to myself. Even if I'm watching Lazy Town and watching one of my favorite episodes of Lazy Town, I'm watching it and pretending like Sporticus is talking to me as Robbie Rotten. Or Baymax is talking to me as Hero. Or let's see who else. And I've already said Andrew is talking to me like he does the people he's helping as an angel. Yeah, so those are what I think fictives really are. I don't really think they take on a personality of their own. Now, that doesn't mean they don't. I just personally don't believe they do. I feel like fictives are not really part of a system. They're more of a comfort character um, that you turn to when you're feeling super lonely. Um, and like I said, 2021 is when fictives started becoming big on the internet, but they'd had some reported cases before that apparently. But I don't know because a lot of the fictives I've seen, at least on TikTok, they're in like full cosplay, like full My Hero Academia cosplay or full on Undertale cosplay, saying this is their fictive. So, I don't know. For my system, at least, that's not how fictives work. My fictives are literally me watching a show, finding comfort in said show, and pretending like that person is talking to me, or when I'm in a really rough spot, playing Undertale Genocide Route just so that I can hear Sans call me a good person. You know, that's kind of what my fictives are. So in a way I have fictives that are separate from who I am, but I don't really consider them different alters because they don't really come out like my real alters do. You know, they're just kind of there when I need them in dreams and things. So, anyway, this has gone on way too long. I am so sorry. I hope it was informative. I wanted to kind of make this for a while because, yeah, fictives is one of those things. It's very controversial. I'm not saying they're not real, but to me, I've never experienced a fictive alter coming out. Just comfort characters coming to me in dreams and stuff. So I hope this was informative. I really hope you enjoyed this video. And I'll be back next week with something else. I don't know what, but we'll figure it out then. This has been Heather signing off. Bye, guys.